The spaceship Eos streaked across the starlit expanse, its engines humming with a desperate urgency. On board, chaos reigned as alarms blared and red lights flickered through the corridors. The crew of 27 scrambled to stabilize their failing vessel after being ambushed by an unknown force near the edge of the Andromeda Galaxy. Among them was Captain Elise Voss, her face pale but resolute as she barked orders into the intercom. "Prepare for emergency landing sequence," she shouted, gripping the armrests of her command chair. "We've got no choice, we're going down." No one noticed the small girl hiding behind a bulkhead in the cargo bay. 6-year-old Amara clutched her stuffed rabbit, its synthetic fur worn, thin from years of affection. Her wide eyes darted between the panicked adults rushing past her. She didn't understand what was happening, only that everyone seemed afraid, and that fear seeped into her bones like cold water. The crash was inevitable. The Eos plunged into the atmosphere of an uncharted planet, its hull screeching against the friction of alien air. Fire engulfed the ship as it tore through dense clouds, hurtling toward a jagged landscape below. When the impact came, it threw Amara violently against the wall. Darkness swallowed her whole. When Amara woke, the world had changed forever. She found herself lying amidst twisted metal and shattered glass, the acrid smell of burnt circuitry stinging her nose. The silence around her was deafening. No voices called out. No footsteps echoed nearby. Shaking, she crawled out of the wreckage and stood on trembling legs, clutching her rabbit tightly. The sky above was a swirling mass of purples and greens, unlike anything she'd seen before. Towering crystalline trees stretched toward the heavens, their translucent leaves shimmering like liquid rainbows. Strange creatures flitted between the branches, some resembling birds, others more insect-like, all glowing faintly in the dim light. It was beautiful, yet utterly alien. For hours, Amara wandered aimlessly, calling out for anyone who might still be alive. But the only responses were the eerie hums of the forest and the distant cries of unseen beasts. Exhaustion eventually overtook her, and she collapsed at the base of one of the crystal trees, tears streaming down her dirt-streaked cheeks. That night, something extraordinary happened. As Amara slept fitfully, a group of luminescent beings emerged from the shadows. They were tall and slender, their bodies composed of shifting patterns of light that pulsed rhythmically, almost like breathing. Their faces, if they could be called that, were smooth and featureless, save for 2 glowing orbs where eyes should have been. These were the Lumini, the native inhabitants of this strange world. The Lumini observed the child with curiosity. They communicated not through words, but through vibrations and colors, their forms rippling with hues that conveyed emotion and intent. One of them knelt beside Amara, extending a tendril of light toward her forehead. A surge of warmth flooded her mind, and when she opened her eyes, she understood. They would care for her. Years passed, and Amara grew up among the Lumini. Though physically human, she adapted to their ways, learning to interpret their radiant language and harness the energy that flowed through the planet's core. The Lumini taught her about the interconnectedness of all life, showing her how every action sent ripples across existence itself. In turn, Amara shared fragments of humanity with them, stories of Earth, laughter, and the concept of individuality. But there was a darkness lurking beneath the surface of this idyllic existence. The Lumini had once been part of a vast galactic civilization until a cataclysmic war reduced their empire to ruins. Their homeworld was now isolated, protected by ancient barriers that kept outsiders at bay. Yet whispers of invasion lingered, carried on cosmic winds. The Lumini feared that one day their sanctuary would fall. Amara, however, refused to accept this fate. As she matured, she became determined to change the course of history, not just for the Lumini, but for all sentient beings. drawing upon both her human ingenuity and the knowledge gifted to her by her adoptive family. She devised a plan. She discovered remnants of the Eos buried deep within the forest, its technology long dormant but salvageable. Using tools fashioned from the planet's crystalline resources, she rebuilt parts of the ship's communication array. Over months of painstaking work, she managed to send a signal, a beacon designed to reach any surviving humans or allies in the galaxy. Her message was simple: help us rewrite the stars. Decades later, the response finally arrived. A fleet of ships descended upon the planet, drawn by Amara's beacon. At first, the Lumini were wary, their memories of war causing them to retreat into the safety of their forests. But Amara stepped forward, standing alone between the newcomers and her adopted home. Through her, the Lumini learned of humanity's resilience, its capacity for growth and redemption. Slowly, trust began to form. Together, Amara and the Lumini forged a new alliance. They combined human innovation with the Lumini's mastery of energy, creating technologies that could heal damaged worlds and mend broken civilizations. Under Amara's leadership, they traveled across the galaxy, offering aid to those ravaged by conflict and despair. In time, the scars of the past began to fade. Empires once thought lost were reborn, guided by principles of unity and compassion, rather than conquest. Amara became known as the Architect of Peace, her name spoken with reverence across countless worlds. Yet despite her achievements, Amara never forgot where she came from. She often returned to the crystalline forest, walking among the glowing trees and listening to the hum of the planet's heartbeat. There, she felt closest to the little girl she used to be, the frightened child who had been left behind but found a way to rewrite history. And so, under twin suns that bathed the alien world in golden light, Amara smiled. For though she had started as a castaway, she had become a bridge between species, a beacon of hope in a universe too often consumed by darkness. The end.